The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian shares mostly trade higher on Friday, tracking Wall Street's gains as expectations of more U.S. rate cuts drive down global borrowing costs. This gives relief to strained bond markets and puts pressure on the dollar. Singapore's Straits Times trades in the red, while other regional indexes are in positive territory. On currencies, the U.S. dollar trades higher against the Japanese yen and is flat against the Singapore dollar. It trades lower against the Hong Kong dollar, the South Korean won, and the Thai baht. The Australian dollar is also flat versus the greenback. In commodities, gold trades 0.5% higher while oil prices dip. In crypto, Bitcoin rises 0.8%, and Ethereum gains more than 2%. The Public Works Department taps the police and the military to help inspect flood control projects. In a TV interview, DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon admits his agency alone cannot handle the inspections of thousands of projects. The Armed Forces said it is willing to help the DPWH. The PNP, for its part, said it has yet to receive a request from the agency. Students in UP Diliman and UP Manila walk out of their classrooms to express anger over the flood control mess. Elijah Bonzo reports.
At least 5,000 students and employees joined the Black Friday protest at the University of the Philippines Diliman earlier. They are calling for the accountability from all government officials and contractors who were included in the flood control scandal. Amidst the alleged corruption in the government, the students are also demanding a bigger budget for basic student services and for the renovation of all buildings, which students say are not conducive for learning. To show their frustration and rage, representatives from College Student Council threw mud on faces of President Bongbong Marcos, ex-DPWH Secretary Bunoan. Aside from Quezon City, over 600 students from UP Manila also joined the Black Friday protest in their own campus. Student leaders warn of more protests since no one has been held accountable for the flood control anomalies. Elijah Bonzo, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Protesters also stormed the gates of the Senate, even if there's no session on Friday. They lashed out at Senators Jinggoy Estrada and Joel Villanueva, who have been linked to ghost flood control projects in Bulacan. The group slammed what they claim are billions of pesos wasted on flood mitigation projects, which could have been used for housing programs for the homeless. The protesters eventually dispersed, but they warn this is just a warm-up for a larger rally set on September 21st. We have this just in. One of the 5 so-called BGC boys has confirmed to using a fake ID to enter casinos. That's according to the Land Transportation Office. Paulo Barcelon joins us on the line for the details. Paulo, go ahead.
Mai LTO Chief Vigor Mendoza confirmed to the media that former DPWH Bulacan OIC District Engineer Henry Alcantara used a fake driver's license to enter casinos. According to his sworn statement, Alcantara says he was able to obtain a fake license bearing the name Joseph Castro Villegas through a casino runner who offered him a fake card. Alcantara admits that due to poor judgment, he accepted the offer as government regulations prohibits government employees to enter casinos. The other 4 members named by Senator Ping Lacson Esposé as part of the BGC Boys, Bryce Hernandez, JP Mendoza, RJ Domasig, and Edric San Diego all denied using fake licenses. Mendoza says the LTO will wrap up its hearing on the matter by Thursday next week and determine if the BGC Boys' 90-day preventive suspension from driving will be elevated to a more serious penalty. So far, only San Diego has turned over his driver's license. The others will follow on Monday. Mai.
Thanks for that report, Paulo Barcelon. We're taking a short break. More business stories are up next. You're watching Business Brief. back on Business Brief. The Sandiganbayan resets the promulgation of 15 graft cases against Chief Presidential Legal Counsel and former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, his former Chief of Staff Gigi Reyes, and businesswoman Janet Lim Napoles. The ruling, initially scheduled for today, has been moved to October 24th after a member of the Special Third Division submitted a reflection which the court said requires further deliberation. Enrile attended the session through video conferencing. He, along with Reyes and Napoles, dubbed the Pork Barrel Queen, were supposed to receive the verdict today in connection with a 10 billion peso pork barrel scam that rocked Congress more than a decade ago. Megawide Construction Corporation signs agreements to recover 9.4 billion pesos in outstanding advances from parent Citicorp Holdings Investment and sister company Citicorp Power Incorporated. Megawide says 3.5 billion pesos will be settled in cash, with the remainder covered through the transfer of shares of Citicorp Renewable Energy Corp, or CREC. The company adds the remaining 5.9 billion pesos will be paid via the assignment of a 13% stake in CREC. Megawide Chair and CEO Edgar Saavedra says the cash inflow will pay part of the company's outstanding debt. He adds the CREC shares provide immediate earnings accretion and can be used for future value realization. Maynilad is increasing water rates for the last quarter of the year, while it's the opposite for Manila Water. Paulo Barcelon has the details.
Consumers can expect different movements in water rates for Maynilad and Manila Water customers in the last quarter of the year. Starting October 1, Maynilad customers will face a rate hike. For households consuming 20 cubic meters a month, which is the typical monthly average for residential consumers, this means an additional 1 peso and 53 centavos, bringing the bill from 682 to 684 pesos per month. Meanwhile, Manila Water customers consuming 20 cubic meters will enjoy a rate cut of 1 peso and 79 centavos. This means the residential water bills will go down from 562 pesos to 561 pesos a month. According to MWSS Chief Regulator Patrick T, this adjustment is due to the stronger peso against the US dollar in the previous quarter.
Ito po ay ang mekanismo na ginagawa ng MWSS-RO that was approved by the MWSS Board of Trustees at ang Department of Finance na para po payagan ang Manila Water at Maynilad na i-recover ang kanilang losses.
He adds, Maynilad's subsidy to consumers went down to 19 centavos from the previous 33 in the third quarter due to the peso gaining ground against the yen.
Kumita po ang Maynilad sa foreign currency. Hindi po nila pwede matago yun. Hindi po pwede nila keep yung kita nito. Kailangan po nila ibalik sa publiko. Pero, ngunit, the last FCDA quarter, 0.3852. So, bumaba po, tumaas po ng konti ang yen. So kaya po bumaba ang subsidy na nakukuha ng publiko.
The MWSS is also encouraging customers using 10 to 20 cubic meters a month to apply for the Enhanced Lifeline program, which can help lower their monthly water bills. Maynilad and Manila Water offices are now accepting applications, including from 4-piece beneficiaries. The MWSS is also closely monitoring water concessionaires to ensure they are delivering on their promised services, as Maynilad works on major service improvements that are causing service interruptions in its contract area. These include parts of Quezon City, Makati, Cavite, and the cities of Muntinlupa and Las Piñas. Paulo Barcelon, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Oil prices are expected to go up again in the third week of September due to geopolitical tensions overseas. DOE Assistant Director Rodela Romero said gasoline prices could increase by 20 centavos per liter, while diesel could go up by 50 centavos. Kerosene has not shown a possible price movement. These are based on a 4-day trade monitoring. RL Commercial REIT Incorporated issues 3.83 billion shares to Robinson's Land. This follows the Securities and Exchange Commission's approval of their 30.67 billion peso property for share swap. Last month, RCR completed its fourth property for share swap, with RLC infusing 9 mall assets through a deed of assignment. The assets are exchanged for 3.83 billion primary common shares of RCR priced at 8 pesos each. Lack of liquidity in the market weighs heavily on investor confidence. Basil Jason Go, financial analyst and vice president and head of equities at Security Bank, tells BNC's Business 360 that investors prefer markets with high liquidity.
If you have turnover with just around $100 million, give or take, it's going to take a lot of days just for a big fund to get in and out of the market. So if turnover picks up when the market rallies with the reduction in STT, hopefully more funds would start to revisit the Philippines, especially with where valuations are nearly 10 times this year's multiple, PE multiple. So that's one thing, the lack of liquidity.
He adds that if the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates this month, it could provide a strong boost for the market.
And hopefully it will allow the BSP to cut policy rates further. So if we look at the betting markets, the odds right now, I think September is a given. Hopefully the Fed cuts by 50 to 75 basis points this year, and an additional 50 to 75 basis points next year. And that will allow the BSP to cut policy rates simultaneously, which will be a big tailwind.
Aboitiz Renewable secures a 7.4 billion peso loan for its Olongapo solar project. The company says it signed a project finance deal with the Bank of the Philippine Islands to fund the engineering, construction, operation, and maintenance of the 221 megawatt Olongapo solar power plant in Zambales. The project is 95% complete and remains on track for testing and commissioning by the third quarter of 2025, connecting to the Castillejos 230 kilovolt substation of the grid operator. Upon completion, the solar PV capacity will become Aboitiz Renewable's largest solar project to date. The National Security Council warns China's plan to establish a nature reserve at Scarborough Shoal could lead to an eventual occupation of the area. National Security Advisor Eduardo Año said China's plan to establish the so-called Huangyan Island National Nature Reserve is patently illegal. He says it violates the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, as well as the 2016 arbitral ruling in favor of Manila and the 2002 Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea. Año adds it is ironic that Beijing is pushing for environmental protection when its vessels are the ones behind the destruction of the shoal. We're taking another breather, a look at how Philippine shares did today. When we return, stay tuned. In the United States, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Charlie Kirk's killer. Kirk, an influential conservative activist and known Trump ally, was fatally shot while speaking to an audience at a university in Utah. He was answering a question about gun violence and mass shootings when the bullet struck his neck. The FBI has released CCTV footage showing the suspected shooter jumping off the roof of a building and walking out of campus. It has also released additional photos of a person of interest. The U.S. pledges another $250 million in health aid to the Philippines. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the Trump administration plans to provide funding to combat tuberculosis, improve maternal health, and tackle emerging diseases. The package follows a separate $63 million announcement made during President Trump's July meeting with President Marcos Jr. Rubio says the aid reflects a strong U.S.-Philippine partnership and Trump's America First foreign aid model. The Philippine Embassy in Washington welcomed the announcement but declined to comment further. Philippine shares slip into negative territory on the final trading day of the week. The PSEI closes down nearly 0.3% at 61.09, making it the second worst performer in Asia. Most sectoral indices end lower, with services falling the most at almost 0.6%. Advancers narrowly outnumber decliners 98 to 96, while value turnover reaches 6.8 billion pesos. Week on week, the PSEI falls 0.6%. Today's most active stocks and mixed. Synergy records the biggest gain at nearly 6%, while Converge falls the most at almost 13%. On the currency front, the peso trades at 57.11 to the dollar, up from the previous close of 57.19. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again next week as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. I'll see you then.